Hello everyone, it's me, Ripley Grimm, your favorite patchwork rabbit fucker. Not as in I fuck rabbit. Editor, cut this, cut all of this. Um, Hi, it's Ripley. We're doing ttrpg Rabbit Friday. We did thankfully find the PDFs for Unknown Armies 3rd edition, so I'll be doing a quick run over of 2nd edition before getting into 3rd edition proper. For the most part, for the 2nd edition one, I am just going to go over how the gameplay functions, a lot of the cool stuff about it, and we're not going to really be focusing on the nitty-gritty of everything therein. But hopefully everyone is doing good today, and if not, hopefully tomorrow treats you significantly better. One of the interesting things about Unknown Armies is that baked into it, there are a lot of ways to make it so that you don't have as much of a bad situation with their dice rolls. To begin with, it is a D100 game. Every time that you roll a die, you are rolling 2d10, aka a d100, and you are taking whatever the total is and going from there. Some of the interesting stuff is that there is a natural progression to your abilities in any one of the following cases. One, if you get a critical, which I believe is a 100? No, that does not affect when you would increase your stuff naturally. If you roll doubles, so a 66, a 44, a 33, or so on, you can have a cherry, which is a bonus to whatever thing you're about to do, or you can increase your skill by 1 and reroll. Thank you very much. Rolls a critical hit on the bun. I'm going to roll 2 critical hits on your bun. Hi, Kaylee. It's been a minute. How are you doing, honey? Add to it. It did. Good. So whenever you roll doubles, it increases your skill and makes it so that you can try again. There are a lot of other ways that you can increase the stuff, like at the end of a adventure, you'll gain like advancement points that you can use on a lot of different stuff. One of the other cool things is in melee combat, if you roll a crit, there are no bonus effects. There is no bonus damage. There is nothing else special added to it. If you roll a crit in melee, there is one effect that you get. The target is dead. No ifs, ands, or buts. Oh, but what if I'm wearing boxing gloves? You're not going to be wearing boxing gloves when you're out trying to fucking go do shit. Combat is described as messy. It is described as very, very dangerous. And most importantly, I would argue that just pointing at someone and saying, if you roll a crit in this melee combat, that target is dead. The same goes for you. Magic has a really cool concept within the system, which is all magic is built on contradictions. So whenever someone has a magical ability of some sort, they basically had to farm the mana for it by doing something that contradicts what it is. The better examples are not the most obvious forms of magic, like narco-alchemists and dipsomancers, aka drugs and alcohol, both lose all of their mana when they become sober. Entropomancers, which are focused on luck, have to do full gambles to generate charges. They're like fully luck-based, basically no skill, all that sort of stuff. So one of the common ways is like running into traffic. Plutomancers, based on money, lose all of their charges if they spend too much money in one transaction or for one thing over the course of multiple transactions. They gain charges by making money, doing deals that reward them with a large amount of money, so on and so forth. The violence, unnatural, helplessness, isolation, and self things are basically described as you are a normal fucking person. If you, a normal fucking person, goes outside and sees a guy get shot and the bullet just flows through his skin like water, you're gonna freak the fuck out. Until you are hardened against these different forms of weird shit that happens within the world, you have to make, like, I guess, sanity or mental wellness checks to ensure that, oh yeah, I've seen weirder shit. If you fail too many, those become like pain points for your character. And in turn, if you get to max on either of these two, your character basically becomes unusable, which is which is something I would argue is one of those like bullshit things in this game. There's a lot of bullshit things. It is a product of its age. I'm not going to sit here and say that it is a good game. It has a handful of the cardinal sins, one of which is... So you're rolling a D100, right? On average, there are, say, 10 rolls per, like, scene. You don't have a high success rate, because their logic is if you have a high success rate, you're used to this form of thing. On average, a lot of your skills are going to be like 15 to 25. Each one of the different like power levels has a hard cap for what is the maximum percentage that you can have for something to work properly. I think for the like basic level, the street, it's 55, which is nothing. There are ways to like fix it on all this sort of stuff. There's also stat maxes and all that sort of disgusting stuff. Yeah, there's like obsessed skills, which is the thing that makes your character really functional as a character. Initiative is based off of your speed. There's a lot of shifts. A lot of it is like making it easier to do a thing. But one of the cardinal sins of any ttrpg, doesn't matter if it is the most well-known one, is having the players have to make their own skills. There is a set of sample skills, but you're not going to want to be, like, using the basic set of sample skills for your obsession skill, for example. And it is the DM's job to figure out what the fuck that means. I was playing, like, a weird summoner thing, and we constantly, like, had to do a lot of stuff, because I really wanted to have a mage, and I didn't want to do, like, epidaromancy, because there was a lot of people that were into self-harm, or not into self-harm, but were dealing with self-harm problems. So I was like, okay, I'll just summon monsters. And that was a whole can of worms. Don't do that. But yeah, there's a lot of neat stuff. I do like the cherry system, where if you roll your obsession skill in combat and get doubles, you can get a better effect. Additionally, if you roll your obsession skill whenever, you can flip the roll. So if you have like a 95 and you have 60 in your obsession skill, you can flip it to a 59 and pass. It increases the effective cap of your obsession skill. The only problem is that in a majority of serious situations, without any shifts, you are going to be failing a majority of your rolls, and there are no benefits to failing your rolls. I personally think that one of the great virtues of games is having a way to fail forward. So instead of having to sit there and be like, "Ah, gee willikers, I missed my one strike for this turn," you instead sit there and go like, "Oh, okay, I missed this, but I have a die for next round that allows me to, like, re-roll this for later." I consider that to be good game design. Does anyone have general questions about Unknown Army 2nd Edition before we move on to the main meat of today in 3rd Edition? I will give chat a few moments to respond if there is anyone who would like to respond. Cannot imagine that there is, as it is a much, much, much slower day today. Oh, one thing I will mention is in 2nd Edition, There is damage caps for the two different types of weapons, like melee versus ranged. Melee weapons are you take the combined total of your two dice. So, for example, if you roll 33, that's 6, that's easy. If you roll 39, that's 12. If you roll 66 and still succeed, that is still 12. There are ways to increase this, like with certain weapons. The system that they use to increase the damage of your weapons is pretty simple. Is it sharp? Is it bulky? Is it heavy? Or is it heavy? Is it sharp? Something else. Ba, 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 ba. Guns, guns, guns. Don't care about guns. Just dodge, throwing weapon, attack shifts, focus shifts, blah blah blah. Firearms are based on whatever you roll on the dice. Crits do maximum damage, even if the max is higher than your firearm skill rating. So for that, it's limited to what your skill rating is in the corresponding thing. Ah, here it is. Is it big? Is it heavy? Is it penetrating? For each yes, it gets +3. Pretty simple. There is also the knife rule that even if you miss with a knife attack, you get to deal 1 damage. Their description of why this works is very fucking funny. Imagine you're wearing a white suit with white gloves and are facing an angry child with a black magic marker. Try to take the marker away from the child, and do anything to the child without running away from it. You're going to be covered in black marks in a matter of seconds, because knives cut. Very simple. I really like ways to expedite certain processes of games. So having like an easy thing of like, oh, what does this do? Well, it's like this. So it meets these criteria, so it gets this bonus damage. Simple, simple, simple. What I've heard about 3rd edition. It has one of the other cardinal sins of TTRPGs, because I don't think it uses the same one, which is gameplay mechanics actively changing your stats. But we'll get to that when we get to that. A cult game about broken people conspiring to fix the world. Bulk of this book is suggestions for DMs players to show them the kinds of stories this game does. Book 2 contains the GM material, contains the rules for creating characters, character setting, and setting creation as collaborative process. So we're going to have to go through 2 books. That's going to be a problem. Absolute game versions. That's a brand new sentence, I think. What you've seen. Shocks. Okay, well, what is this before we go ahead? Objective is measured as a percentile chance. 70% chance of killing Christopher. You pick a path to your objective. GM finds out obstacles on that path, as well as consequences for previous failures and previous successes. Most sessions are going to be about chasing some milestone on the path and either getting it or failing. Every session should have an issue at the center, and the issue should come to a head. Every session should involve doing something that can't be taken back. Once you accomplish an objective, you can roll to a new one, starting at 50% of builds on your previous success. If you gamble and fail, you hemorrhage points from the objective need to go into damage control. Okay, so it's basically like using its own version of the clock system. Okay. Shock gauge is comprised of five shock meters. Absolute worst things that have happened to your character. Yours measures helplessness, isolation, violence, unnatural, and self. Each meter has space for 5 failed notches. The only thing that they help your character do is suck and die. Avoid them as best as possible. Okay. Also has 8 open notches. The more you have, the more is pure, unsullied, and a little naive. Stress checks, blah, blah, blah. No ability ever drops below 20%. Every ability has 20% at its ground floor. Connect, fitness, knowledge, notice, status, dodge, lie, pursuit, secrecy, struggle. I really like how they just flat out say this is all of the different stuff. This is set up significantly better than the previous game, I will admit. Fear, rage, and noble. Fear, passion, what scares you the most. Dying unloved. To escape your fear. Fear, passion always threatens a specific shock meter. Rage, passion, bugs you the most. Noble passion, when you're at your best. Acting in tune, you get the rare surprise of second chances. If you fail to roll while fleeing your fear, fighting your rage, you can re-roll it. Alternatively, you can switch the dice around if the new result would help you. Okay. So that's the flip-flop mechanic, which means they're still probably doing the D100 system, which is fine. I think D100 as a system requires a lot of juice in order to make it feel viable. There's a reason why the D20 is the most popular, or is the second most popular die that people would have. Most popular, of course, being the D6, because the D6 is used in just about everything. Obsession ties directly to an identity, fits with it. Whenever you roll for that, you can flip-flop it every single time. You can't redo failed rolls, though, because that'd just be crazy. Nor can an ability be an obsession. What do you mean, an ability? Oh, so you're making your own thing. Gay? Faye is, yes. Obsession has to relate to that. As people obsessionless and tap directly into magical tradition or practice. We are looking at Unknown Armies, 3rd edition. If you are interested in that, Caius. Yeah. Yeah, this is, aged. If you have the identity House Painter, 35%, you have a 35% chance of doing anything a house painter reasonably might do in the course of painting houses while under stress. Fair enough. Guidelines is if you say, of course I can X, I'm a Y, you're an expert. Of course, if I can tell if the music's anything good, I'm an accomplished pianist. Of course I can run that license plate, I'm a police detective. Little concerned about the way shifts of the shock gauge might impact abilities, which we will get to. If a field of endeavor is central to your character, should be identity, not the fallback ability. Okay. Gutter magic. To be an avatar is slavishly obey what society thinks your role ought to look like, while the road of depths pay with stubborn pathological self-will. In both cases, bounces being social and being an individual is skewed. The idea that you create occult effects depends not on painting pentagrams in your basement, but acting more like everybody than anybody and being a social outlier of extra proportions. Your option is what practitioners call reality bruising, and everyone else calls gutter magic. Snowers are as strong as quick as the stuff adepts routinely dish out, and it's not as reliable or simple as the Avatar's tricks. I didn't mention avatars as much, but in 2nd edition, avatars were basically like a more intense role that you take on to have magic related to that role. It also had the mythic hermaphrodite, I think is what it's called, which just kind of turned me off all of them immediately, because who the fuck names that? Okay, we're still doing percentile. Uh... You have an identity of this that can substitute for this. Okay. If you get 100, it is a fumble. Everything is fucked. If you get a matched roll, that is a failure. It's unusually bad. If it is a matched success, it's something unusually good. Crit is 0-1. Flip-flops allows you to flip the dice. Yeah, this is the guy talking about, like, why this game's, like, kind of a fucked up version. It's something to say, but I forgot. Okay, this has a better explanation. So, in the first game, whenever you would face, like, something that would shock your system, you would just use the same fucking roll, which I think was, like, Soul, and the higher your number was, the easier it is to just brush that shit off. So the idea was you would have just characters with a fuck ton of soul. It was regarded as the strongest stat for a multitude of reasons. It was what you defended against magic, or used to defend against magic. It was also what you used to cast magic. So if you wanted to be a mage of some sort, that shit was banger. All the different, like, ways that the stuff works. Yeah, most of the time, the, like, higher end of the different shocks are nigh impossible to reach in, like, a reasonable game. I do think that there is a lot of the game that is focused on stuff that is not going to be common at most tables, especially nowadays. I think that's mostly just a curse of the world. Not even in the sense of, like, people suck, but more so in the sense of, like, I would argue that most people would want to have a veil around stuff that is, like, 9, like, probably 7 and up, honestly. Interesting. Ugh. Do. Do. It seems like a majority of them are focused on, like, the more in-depth it can be. Like, most people are probably not going to have to ever deal with this, like, sensory deprivation take for a month. When you fail stress check, you mark off a fail, you panic. If you get stuck, you continue fruitlessly searching for an exit. Panic, paralysis, or frenzy. So fight, flight, freeze. Or flight, freeze, fight. Put those in the correct order, please. Different ways this can transform you. Avatar and Adept powers are remarkably booze resistant. I do always find it interesting when games talk about, like, different drugs and the like. Not even, like, a bad way, just in a, oh, that's cute. Getting callous. When you've seen enough horror, it loses its power to horrify you. The more horror notches you have a single meter, more it takes for any kind of that stress to rip up your head. Mental stress makes us vulnerable, but makes us human. This is something that was talked about in second edition as well. I do think that it has a place, but I do also think, like, it's probably better to just retire the characters after a certain point. Because there's 5 tracks, you're probably going to be... Because if you can only have 25 and there's 8 slots per, it's probably not that hard to get to 5 in each, right? Which makes you burned out, so you have to, like, you basically lose all your powers. Oh, that's neat. Good news about upbeat abilities is they never drop below 20%. Your ability to form emotional bonds, trust your own education, shake off the flu never bombs out. No matter how much. Okay. So these abilities have a percentile ranging of 20 plus 5% for each open knot of the corresponding meter. Connect, knowledge, fitness, notice, status. Okay, so the more well-adjusted you are, the easier it is to use these abilities. And the more fucked up you are, the easier it is to use these, like dodge, lie, pursuit, secrecy, struggle. Struggle is kick, it's bite, it's punch, wildly thrown elbows and thrashing. It's grabbing the guy around the waist and throwing him to the ground, hoping to land on him. It is not graceful, studied, expert violence. It is raw, primal, and scary as hell. Relationships. Game Master character or a group larger than the PC Cabal. You can roll your relationship percentiles. Favorite, Guru, Protege, Mentor, and Responsibility. Oh, okay. So, this is not as bad as people were talking about it. People talked about this mechanic being like the Satan's asshole of the whole thing. But seeing it in this chart makes it look a whole lot better. So, what it is saying is... So the first one is focused on the protege, and the more well-adjusted you are, the better your fitness stat is, the less well-adjusted, the better your dodge stat is. And then it goes off of the fucked up stat of helplessness. So the more helpless, or the more resistant you are to being helpless, the better you are at dodging. And that goes down. You can attack the self with unnatural things to make it easier to deal with. You can attack isolation with helplessness. And it's just kind of like an Ouroboros. 2 steps. I might give you 140 or 160. Don't take one at less than 30% unless you like to fail a lot. Okay, so you can have identities. You can have multiple identities. So for me, it could be like programmer, chef, some other stuff, you know. Choose an ability that supplants. Pick 2 features. As mentioned, you can only pick ones that make sense. So, coerce as a meter is... you can threaten someone, they do what you say, or suck up a stress check. Okay. Evaluates a meter. Pick one of the 5. Roll the identity. Medical. Use this for less scientific abilities like faith healer or root medicine or aromatherapy. I love the fucking idea that the medic of the party is just someone that is super into aromatherapy. Like, oh no, honey, you got stabbed. Have some lavender incense. Provides firearm attacks. Provides wound threshold. Provides initiative, resist shocks to a meter, therapeutic. Unique, use gutter magic. Different identity. So it seems like instead of having to encourage the players to make their own abilities, they went for the aspect of make a job and then you can get benefits from that job. Which I think is a nice way to fix it. Supernatural identities. Vague information, specific, vague protection, specific protection. Except it can be used to avoid bad luck and erotic befuddlement sorcery instead of cock punches. These are they're just making a whole lot of brand new sentences in this book. Oh, and they have example ones! God, that's fucking good. That's really nice, honestly. Okay. I like that, I like that. Hot, sure. Muslim's a bit different. Yardbird. New military recruit assigned to menial tasks was more often a term for a convict. Zookeeper. The Lonely Singles Club version. What the fuck? Come up with the concepts that each of your sock meters to a number of hard notches between 1 and 9. Watch out for burnout. Figure out percentages of your abilities. 2 or more identities. Get your 3 passions. Select features for your identities. Divide total number of hard notches on your sheet by 5. If you got 5 failed notches, single mirror. Assign those as failed notches. Okay. Wound threshold starts at 50. If you're playing an avatar, get the details. If you're playing an adepts, get the details. Finish the character. Okay. Conflict. I don't know about y'all, but I don't like it as much when it's like real images of people in a TTRPG book. Like, maybe this is just really high quality art, but I don't know. Also, that's Nars Gotia symbol behind him. Don't know the demon offhand, but good for you, bud. Ah, melee weapons. I was curious. Does it cleave? Okay. Is it big? Is it heavy? We keep that. Knife rule still a thing. Crit. That guy you hit, he's dead. He's bereft of life. He rests in peace. His Wikipedia page is past tense now. Guns are still the same. Extreme tactics. Okay. The DM's options are allow you to do it or let everything suck. Your character might reasonably get out of those handcuffs, and the GM can't think of any other cool stuff to happen until he escapes. That's like the quote from this book, I think. Like, if we're taking like a good quote from every single book that we do for TTRPG Rabbit Friday, I think that's the quote. Like, sometimes the DM is like, cool, we have this cool thing set up, and then your Blorbo's like, I will sit here and do nothing. That shit sucks. Binary challenge. Car crashes. Hot car on car action. Oh, that's cute. Wounds with seatbelt, 5d10. Wounds without seatbelt, 1d100 and 3d10. Love. It's physics. That's good. That's good. I like that. Oh. Golden hours first 60 minutes after injury occurs. If someone provides treatment, even first aid, it helps out a lot. Patient heals wounds equal to 10's place of your roll. Well, presumes that you got him somewhere safe and motionless. It gets worse if there's less stuff. Hospital stays. Patient just took 1d10. Care without the patient convalescence. Heals wounds as if you had a nice day of bed rest. Heals wounds equal to your roll. Cannot heal the last one. Patient heals all but 1d10 rolls, or recover wounds equal to the roll if that would leave you with fewer wounds. May, at GM's discretion, get a dashing scar that's practically screams badass survivor. If you got wounds, continue to run around like a damn fool. Heal a wound every day. Convalescing is the only way to heal the last wound. Okay. Therapy is for mental stuff. Weirdness of the world. So it's definitely improved a lot of the problems from 2E. I am curious as to how the flavors of magic work in this in comparison. Avatars and archetypes, that's what we're looking for. Avatars are people who align themselves with the archetype's path. Okay, what are the avatars? Archetypes. The captain. Is that the same as in the 2E book? Let's find out together, kids. It is not. We have new avatars. Captain is person officially in charge. Being part of crew means a couple things. On a basic level, you agree to obey the orders of your captain. Believe the captain's going to take care of you. Could be very wrong. You've handed over the cow seek your soul in a real, if limited, mystical way, and the captain has more authority over you than the average Joe on the street. Oh, captain, my captain. Taboos. So, I mentioned this in passing before in 2E. Each one of the avatars and adepts have a taboo that, if I was to compare it to, Final Fantasy, if you do your taboo, your mana is drained to 0. Like, instantly. Captain's authority cannot extend over a larger endeavor than a small ship, business, or group. Reality of meetings paperwork harshes the we few, we band of brothers vibe. Must brook no challenge to his authority from anyone under his command or of lesser rank. From without in some immediate, unequivocal way, right or wrong. Challenge to authority from someone equivalent. That's going to be an interesting day. That response doesn't have to be immediate. Avatar of the captain must consider to agonize over the fates of his crew under his command while balancing his leadership. Avatar taboos are all about how you act. For some of the ones from the original book, there is the Demagogue, the Executioner, the Flying Woman, the Fool, the Masterless Man, the Merchant, the Messenger, the Mother, the MVP, the Mystic Hermaphrodite, the Pilgrim, the Savage, True King, Warrior, and that's it. Alright. So even at a basic level, you are counted as trusted authority when consoling one of your crew. Okay. Naval tradition has it aboard the ship. The captain outrates the Lord God Almighty. So, at max level, the captain can literally just go, fucking kill that guy. And all of them are fueled by the power of God to kill you. They can flip-flop all their stuff. Animals just do what you say. He can literally walk up to a door and go, lock, and it locks. The Explorer. Must find something new to them each day. The Explorer must never create any cultural artifact of their own. Okay. Suspected avatars in history. Neil Armstrong, Sacagawea, Jane Goodall, Marco Polo. Many paparazzi also channel the Explorer. At a basic level, the Avatar can ignore the effects of hunger, thirst, fatigue, and minor environmental damage. Lasts as many as days as the 10th digit of the Avatar. Still can be hurt by major stuff. At tier 2... safest or quickest way to a room, but not both. A tier 3. You can hunt down something that is important to you. You can open a closed door to reveal a place that they have heard of, but never actually been before. You have to know that it exists. Doesn't have, a destination doesn't have to be a doorway. As the universe moves stuff around, make sure a doorway is there. Despite how out of place a door would be on the slopes of Mount Fuji or atop the Washington Monument. Rooms of Renunciation. You don't know what this means. Hope that you never know. Okay. Only stationary locations. The Firebrand. The Firebrand calls upon her talents to spot issues that require championing and give voice to the issue. Must never speak publicly against their movement, nor be seen as acting in direct opposition to their movement's goals. Must work constantly to guard against the perception of impropriety. Must always work to keep the values and motivations of their movements in the public eye. Ever seeking more publicity for their cause, they must never turn down a chance to forward that agenda. Cannot turn away from a debate regardless hurting her issue of choice. This goes double if she is confronted with another firebrand who is at odds with their agenda. Despair is the death of firebrand. Must always work to keep their people motivated. Basic role, you can convince someone that you are an authority on the movement and issues. She can remove notches. Only do events of that movement's go that movement's way for a week or so. Will normally gains 1 to 5% in Avatar Firebrand. Separate and apart from any other improvement. Loser loses that amount, separate and apart from any taboo losses. At rank 3, anyone thus inspired gets bonus to the roll. You can inspire people to, like, work with your stuff. Tier 4. If the firebrand is killed while actively pursuing her movement's cause, she can reanimate. Okay. Sorry, firebrand. Pilot light can only get relit so many times. Followers of a movement are dedicated to the cause. She can just force people to do what she says. Okay. The Fool is a dumbass, and if any intellectual identity gets above 50%, you're in danger of thinking too much. The Fool also has to be gullible. Christopher Columbus was a fool. Bill Clinton. God, I love when they just fucking roast people. Steven Universe! Object whenever someone succeeds an Avatar Fool check, so there's a good possibility of it being where they're looking. Good for finding quarters, hairpin needed to pick a lock, lead pipe smash someone's face in. Okay. You can have damage reflection, okay. But you lose your next action because they're standing around slack-jawed at the carnage. The GM decides, oh, it's even funnier. The Fool gains the ability to be in the right place at the right time. It is not teleportation. And the GM decides how. Through fucking black magic, I guess. And Max, whenever someone tries to take it, they have a harder chance. Reduced by 10 times the number in the ones place. The guide. Martin Luther, Pocahontas, where are the taboos? Tabby does not get out at the stop. Preacher does not live like the poor he seeks to help. Wrestling coach does not compete on the mat at the tournament. He is always one who helps the journey, never finishes it. Cloth the Pack himself gives up connection to the archetype. The guide is that which lights the way, not the way themselves. Okay. You can guide people to the correct direction. At tier 1, at tier 2. You can give people solid advice no matter what. Group completes a milestone. Instead of rolling one die to see how much improves the objective, the die set at 10. Complete a petty milestone. Instead of getting that, they get 15%. If they do complete it, the reward is rich. He needs at least 5 or 10 minutes to lay out the goods. Once a day fortune cookie for the protege, and the people who consider the guide a guru or mentor, that hunch can now be flip-flopped as soon as it's rolled. Okay. The Hacker. This is Faye. Avatar of the hacker has to make a choice between solving a problem related to the invention or dealing with the social situation. Has to be the creations. Why? Because you hack things. Newest gadget is against type unless it has subject to some tinkering. Proof of Avatar uses the latest iPhone as came from the box. Someone who jailbroke immediately started using new apps for it. That guy's okay. When attempting to build, create, or repair a mundane machine or device, the hacker can use whatever's hand to supply an effect. And you can use it to hack into things. Okay. Avatar is now more like a Hollywood engineer than a plodding, mundane one. Successful Avatar role, the time required for any technological project is compressed. Transmission rebuild that would realistically take a whole weekend is completed within a few oily hours. Cannot be combined with the first. Create what's needed at the right time, right place for the right people. Create a single-use device that replicates any minor or significant unnatural effect, or any minor effects of adept magic. Okay. Technobabble or its occult equivalent. As good in it itself, really start to hate the hacker. Because this is when avatars are able to take adept-made devices and reconfigure them to serve the status quo of the stratosphere instead of having to be a big poke in the eye to it. You can take a fucking legendary artifact and just go, this is a butter knife now. Excalibur? No. Doesn't kill dragons or anything, it's just really good at cutting butter. A week of tinkering, successful roll, it can remake the artifact do some different minor effect over and over or something significant one time. As long as it sounds like it can make sense after a few beers. What the fuck? That's fucking great. That's hilarious. One thing Messenger must never do is deny the truth when confronted. He can passively conceal, lie by omission. Faced with point blank with a fact he knows is true, he cannot deny it. Some people, the secret meaning behind Peter's denial of Christ and why Paul was the greater evangelist. Okay. When the messenger tells truth, it's hard to ignore or deny. Messenger statement must be objectively true, and messenger must believe it firmly. Messenger attempts to use this to communicate something that he believes is true, but which is false, the channel fails. Okay. So you can also probably use that in, like, the opposite way, where if you are like, I believe this is true, I believe it with my whole heart, and then you walk up to a guy and like, hey, this is a thing, and the guy goes, no, that's not, and the DM's like, he didn't have to do shit. Intimately connected to it, a successful role can remove physical barriers between the messenger and his audience. Physical barrier is a passive and animate problem. Messenger has been gagged, the gag falls out, messenger cars breaks down, he forces it to work until he gets to the location, locks open, drop, bonds come close. Does not work at active oppression. Something that is holding him back versus something in his way. Okay. Successful role, you can automatically know something. The I Ching. Automatic writing. Messenger can get to any important event as long as they know it's occurring. Can only go where it's happening, not where it's going to happen or has happened. The mother. Momther. No beating kids. Anyone under 16. Or if you gave birth to someone. Note that harm may have a different meaning to one who takes the devouring mother route. Okay. She can try to calm people down from psychological triage. Can also be used to heal physical damage. A mother will heal someone of 5 wounds. Kiss it better. Has to be someone at least 10 years younger than her, sees her as a comforting, superior figure. Ever hear about the old chestnut about getting between a mother bear and her cub? The avatar is the mama bear. Someone threatens a child or someone who has established a maternal relationship, she gains combat advantages when fighting that menace, which is provides initiative, substitutes for struggle, your melee attacks, any hand-to-hand attacks you make deal additional 5 damage, not counting their base bonus. You literally get bear claws. It's fucking great. Becomes extremely hard to harm the mother. Okay. But you have to be physically pregnant. Okay. That's a fair. At max level, if you are nearby an endangered child, you do not die until the threat is gone. The Naked Goddess. Must not be known. That redhead. She changes her hair. If admirers buy tickets to hear her crib sing voice, she fails to show up to perform. Anne's lovers when they get too close and betrays trust as easily as she saves the lives of those she's betrayed. Cannot go by a name for a long time. This one seems very difficult to play in a party. It is a new avatar. Okay. To see her just be captivated. She rolls against her avatar rating. If she succeeds, person subject to her glance wants to come closer. In the second chance, rolls impose the same self-challenge, but this time the impulse to which the target is driven. Following her, asking people, and trying to take pictures on the sly. People had a habit of looking at me if I was some kind of mirror instead of a person. They immediately saw their own lewd thoughts, and then they white masked themselves by calling me the lewd one. Seen at all times as the ideal and fetishes that observers have rather than who she is. Okay, so it's like the Asari in Mass Effect. Describing the avatar becomes difficult, even when not looking at her. Successfully throwing together a specific narrative about her requires a knowledge check. She can leave any location as long as she's unobserved for even a moment. She's under a camera, someone has to be monitoring it 24/7. Interesting. The Opportunist. Cannot pass just to season initiative, selfless sacrifice to no personal benefit is right off. Fail categorically to achieve. Their goals are entitled Business Leader of the Year, and someone else snatches it. Drops and must continue striving to rebuild it. Okay. So this is get to the pinnacle and do it by any means. JP Morgan. Thomas Edison. When the opportunist is making a competitive check... Wait, did it skip? No. When the opportunist is making a competitive check for something that they would afford them an occasion to shine or score a coup, they can flip-flop. Being recognized for hidden opposition within a few minutes of observation, a successful avatar check. She can see if someone is actively opposing her or her primary design. A failed check means this person is opaque to her until next sunrise. That's fucking neat. Every time she rolls a success, she gets a +10 bonus on her next roll, as long as it's related to that ongoing process. So it's just a rolling 10%, basically. Then they become cumulative. Okay. Very much a win more, keep going type beat. The Solid Citizen. Now past opportunity to help the people they identify with. Is this Abraham Lincoln? Napoleon Bonaparte. Abraham Lincoln is not on here. Mother Teresa is. That's weird. Knack for being at the right place at the moment of truth. All their hard work. School reformer could flip-flop a role to convince a corporate board to hear a request for financial endowment. That's a pretty good one. The Star, I'm just going to start skimming through these because I want to see how the adepts have been changed. The Warrior is back. Very happy they didn't keep the Mystic Hermaphrodite. Alright, we're at the fucked up magics. Calculating pi. Huh? Calculating omega. Sure. Show me weird shit. Man! Stomp, stomp. Agromancy. Hell yeah. Alright. This is brand new. Takes back life which she has given. Slaughtering a small animal she raised from pup egg infancy. It is okay to eat the animal afterwards. Landbreakers, tamers, sodbusters. So this is all about, like, a fairly narrow field of random magic. They're concerned with taking what is chaotic in the natural world, bending to human order through renaming an organization. And it's based off animal sacrifice. You can also do human sacrifice. So major charges are, let me explain. Minor charges are like your bread and butter. This is like the easiest way to do stuff. Typically the the best way in which to do it is just find a way to mass produce minor charges. You cannot turn minor charges into significant or into major, but the more that you have banked, the easier it is to deal with them. Um, so, minor charges, you kill an animal you raised. For a significant charge, the animal has to have lived for a much longer period of time. And for a major charge, domesticate a species previously unknown. Science fill immediate people at once with the output of a single farm. Control farm of 100 square miles or more for a single year. Ranch of over 1,000 square miles. Once an area has a major charge, however stuff, it can't produce another for 10 years. Commit infanticide on your adult child. Good lord. Taboo. Being bitten by a wild animal will do it. Whether bad enough for some sort of roll, driving through rain or snow breaks taboo. If the roll to keep the car on the road or your horse under control succeeds. Crossing wild water breaks taboo. Flying over them. Most ponds, small lakes, and rivers aren't powerful enough, but the mightiest rivers of each continent can drain a lane breaker. Okay. Barn raising, whenever you do a cooperative thing, you get a bonus to the roll. Cast a spell on someone, next time a deliberate physical attack on them is attempted, the assault is failed. Divination. Make something more fertile. Eat a animal to gain its sense memories, or a person. But that one's a lot harder. A foot tall, 20 pounds each, consistency of rocky dirt. You can eat the dirt! Chat, you can eat the dirt and get memories from it. You can force lightning to strike 168 hours to the second after the casting roll, exactly 1 week from now. Everything the target eats tastes rancid for a number of days equal to the 10s-digit roll. You can just starve someone. That's fucked. You can make a labyrinth. Domesticate an animal. Upgrade an animal. For some reason, the US typically date nut bread. Eat the entire thing, 1 year of aging. Once per year per target. Miraculous effect where you shed weight and wrinkles and your bald spot grows back. People physically mature. Okay. Transparent, partially vegetable fertility goddess. Immune to aging, but visibly inhuman, purposely disconnected from moral concerns. Blast all arable land of 50-mile radius. Globally cured bovine spongiform encephalopathy. Are they saying that this was used to fucking get rid of mad cow disease? Yeah. Yeah, they are. That's fucking funny. Cameraturgy, lensers, imagicians, paparazzi. Cameras. Images, reflection, sight, the preservation of things in time, disconnect between things they are and depicted. The gallery is part of the taboo. Every hour spent setting up, taking photography yields a minor charge as soon as the image so created is safely stocked away in the lenser's gallery. Yet one significant charge for taking a picture of a unique moment of emotional intensity, which is why some of them are wedding photographers and some are creeps who hang around emergency rooms snapping furtive shots of weepy kids. Wedding is worth 1 charge, maybe 2 if you also happen to catch a bridesmaid or groomsman lustfully hooking up. 1 car accident or disaster is only good for 1 charge. Have you considered becoming a war photographer? Take a defining photo of a critical moment in history. The last chopper out of Saigon, Earth seen from the moon, Dorothy Lang's migrant mother. There are 3 things that can drain the camera turge of all charges. First is using a digital camera. To a lenser, if it's on film and developed chemically, it ain't real. Going 24 hours without taking a film image of some sort breaks taboo, usually leaves the adept extremely anxious and unhappy. If someone burgles his gallery, you lose charges immediately. The gallery in this is where he keeps his images. Could be a handsome room full of framed beauty on the walls, could be a storage locker with thousands of tacked up Polaroid creep shots. What matters is this is where the images belong, and when they're removed, the whole thing goes out of whack. You can gain new charges after that, but recovering a stolen photo or returning what was lost. It's okay for the camera turret to take pictures out of the gallery, leaving them anywhere but there is trouble. Developing them is permitted, and there's no way to do that on site. Letting someone in doesn't break the taboo, nor does power fail. Someone enters and leaves respectfully without disturbing anything. As soon as an intruder steals a photo or damages one or even moves one, the charge disappears and the lenser knows it. First print negatives must be kept safe in the gallery. That is a lot more of a interesting way than some of the schools. Some of these schools in the first book were very niche, I guess. Like Necromancer, there was only a specific like amount of stuff that you can make. And you're just gonna be running out of stuff. Target's aura is visible once anyone looks at it. Takes a picture of someone who's in distress, physical emotion. Force that person to revisit the sorrow and pain depicted. Interesting. Uh, Jiffy print just prints it off fast. You can forge any ID if there's a picture attached. Ah, minor blasts. Minor blasts are like the way that they cast magic, basically. You can cast this on someone if you have a picture of them. Part of casting involves burning or cutting the image's eyes. Still only works at short range, so it's not really spontaneous. But if you know who you want to hurt, this is a silent, deniable way to some damage from eyeball range. The injury takes the form of hemorrhaging in the nose, throat, occasionally lungs, anus, or ocular cavity. Once you deface the photo to cast the spell, you have to keep it. You have to carry it around or put it in your gallery. If you lose or destroy it, Abuchar violation. Interesting. I guess the way to use that is just take like 14 fucking photos of someone, just stab, 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 stab. Immediately after, burn all of them. Instead of being cast on or through the finished picture, the spell creates one. By developing an unexposed piece of photo paper and spending the charge, the amulet appears to offer some form of guidance, advice, or forewarning about the coming event. Cast this on a blank sheet and develop it, and the picture that appears helps you somehow. You want to know what's happening on the other side of an opaque wall? Take a picture, and you develop at the obstruction. So the problem for cameraturges is it seems as though the period of finishing the photo, preparing the photo, is the hard part. What is this? Fox, I need you to go beat Lucian with hammers, please and thank you. On a boss, thank you. The spell called Empathy is bad. Using someone else's picture of a gunshot victim or grieving widow, it must be one of your photos. Target briefly experiences the trauma depicted. Use this on anybody, not just person in the picture. Picture. You have to take a picture of someone suffering. So these guys are fucked up. The Great Divorce. That's the name of a spell, I guess. You take and develop a picture of your target before casting and deface it during the casting. In this case, it's okay to rip a picture in half or burn it completely. Still only works from eyesight range. Damage done resembles the mode of defacement. If you burn the picture, target looks like they got burned, tear it in half, look like we're a chainsaw machete. Okay. So minor blasts are melee damage, so the combination of the two, and then significant blasts are gunshot damage, which is whatever you roll. The photo looks like significant inform effect, loosey-goosey DM judgment that applies. You know how Primitive tries supposedly believe that photographs could steal your soul? Yeah, that's actually a thing. Person takes a penalty to all magical rolls equal to the casting roll. Every day the target rolls a d10, and it's reduced by that amount. You can't use it on a diminished person for a couple reasons. First off, you can't, because people under Soul Theft Curse don't show up in pictures properly. Digital ones are unaffected, of course, because they're mechanistic and mundane, and basically the dry sex of photography. Picture you take to steal the soul begins to fade as the soul leaches back to him. By the time penalty is 0, it's totally blank. At that point, it's alright to throw it away. If it leaves you or your gallery before that, taboo violation. Spirit photography. Pay charges, roll successes, and the film, not digital camera you cast it on permanently changes in two very useful ways. You can see ghosts through it. Take a picture of someone, they are visible with the picture when you develop it. Oh, interesting. So for that one, you get a active view of whoever you take of whatever you take a picture of. I can see, like, guy sets up, like, his house or bunker or whatever, just has pictures of all of his friends, just sitting back there making sure everything's going fine. Ooh, I'm pretty sure bibliomancers are not in this, but combine those two together. Ooh, scary. Retain your youthful looks while a photo of you ages in your stead. Permanently entrap an otherwise unstoppable entity in an image. Take a photo so beautiful that looking away from it is a rank 10 challenge. And then we have Cinemancy, which is, I would imagine, a upgrade from the actors of the first one. Or maybe Vidiots? Could be. If not Vidiots, it's Personamancer, maybe. Charges. Remembering humanity and remembering these cliches. When they get someone to remember to describe an overused cinematic cliche, they get a minor charge. Thinking about it is enough, must be described. Hi Rain. Fox found us the 3rd edition of Unknown Armies. There is a lot of interesting stuff about it, a lot of stuff that they kept the same. The thing that they discussed about it being, like, literally Satan, it's not that bad, actually. It just sort of provides a buff to your skills, depending on how, like, fucked up or well-adjusted you are. Either the cliche. The F person? I don't know what you were referring to. If it is something questionable, toss in DMs, because the freak. The freak. Oh, the Mystic Hermaphrodite Epideromancy. No, I haven't looked at that yet. Neither cliche nor the person can be used till a week has passed. Quoting a memorable line is typical, but it has to be verbatim, acted out, or can't be repeating what the author says. So cinematic tricks you into a Dark Vader. No! The transition from 2A to 3. Can you DM me the name, or, like, where you think it is? Seems, for those that don't know, the freak, I can't remember his actual name, but he was from 2E. He was described as an epideromancer and an avatar of the mystic hermaphrodite, which was, they were an epideromancer that used their own magic to purposefully change themselves as much as possible, and their way of, like, fighting was they had, like, a fucking ripcord that that was just coated in fucking razor blades to just rip it out of their body, generate a fuck ton of charges, and then kill you. Scenes and plots are not the only cliches used in Hollywood. Many times, entire characters are walking cliches. Cinemaster could build a significant charge acting as one of these stock characters for 5 straight hours. Just a hooker with a heart of gold. Hard-boiled detective, manic pixie dream girl, the dumb jock, magical negro, many more. Okay, this seems like an upgraded version of the Personamancer. Must be planned by the Cinemancer. Depending on these tropes manifesting in life, you cannot see the beginnings of cliche and not fill whatever role is necessary to ensure the cliche finishes. They drank in a chase and see a fruit cart, they must ram it. They tend to be polite but reserved in order to avoid the entanglements of the dreaded meet cute, as the behavior of a character in a rom-com is usually legally actionable. Movie banalities. Yeah, so this feels like the combination of Videomancy and then Personamancy. Banana peel gag, stock wardrobe, I'm the guy with the gun. Sin Master casts a spell before combat up to 1 hour previous, can continue to fire bullets as long as after he would normally do it. Keys to continue. Once the Sin Master fires, he has to keep pulling the trigger as the spell ends, and so do the magical reloads. With max attack, right? Rain, you're gonna have to elaborate on these. And if it is something not related to the game, please DM, and I will deal with it later. What could go wrong? Fucking great. McDonald's. Oh, the, like, moon guy? Is that who you're talking about? Mac tonight? No, that's something different. Right, they get attacked, hit, arrested, lost, or beat down. Anytime someone else predicts X won't happen. Aww, that's cute. I like that. They also introduced a new form of magic that cured mad cow disease. Anytime someone else predicts something like X won't happen, spells cast, and whatever X stands for happens. We're not gonna run out of gas. Like, I'm going to run to my ex-wife at the strip club. It's not like I'm gonna get arrested. Calm down. I'm not gonna get shot. It's not like a freak snowstorm will trap us in this cabin. Nothing bad is ever gonna happen. Vague predictions like this will cause a serendipitous injury. And cast as a response to something she says herself. If cast in response to someone who knows how the spell works, there's a 2-charge surcharge, because artificial serendipity is a lot harder for magic to tweak than the real thing. She'll never fall in love with me. Talking and driving. Driving normally leaves your attention. You can be at the driver's seat of a moving vehicle, do anything other than pay attention to the road. Always drive safely. Ain't got no time to bleed. The wounds are still taken, but no violence check is necessary, and the wound does not affect any other abilities. You must say a bad joke or pun related to the injury. Don't worry, it just has to be equipped, doesn't have to be funny. Power group is very depressed as of 3 because of the Ritual of Light going off December 10th. Still, it happens. Stormtrooper combat training. Anyone with management status. Any gunshots from people who work as security guards, regular pretty slow ranking soldiers, automatically miss. They must be on the job. Next punch hits no matter what. Even a fumble hits, doing 20 wounds when improved by Clyde power. I'll just hack in. He's right behind me, isn't he? These are fucking great. Bring someone back from the dead, even if they were 100% solid proof they died. Change your life history so that all documents and evidence indicate that parallels some famous movie character. Gain the skills of a well-known film creation. Be a movie icon. No TV shows. Praise on people's knowledge of cliches that can generate charges or cast spells based on TV shows. Nope. 2 reasons. Movies have global releases thanks to Internet Mr. Torrent. One country shows can be downloaded anywhere and far cry from worldwide theatrical release. Movies are much more deeper in the collective unconscious of humanity and can be more readily available for use and abuse. Movies are the gold standard. TV shows have really improved over the years and provide more options for character development, storytelling, traditional 1.5 hours of a movie. But neither of those matters. They want cliches, not quality. What gets more red carpet press, sitcom star or movie star? What the fuck? Armigers, gun cells, sloppy seconds, fulminaturgy. This is gun magic? Presumably a reference to the Second Amendment of the U.S. Constitution. They're gun mages. Okay. Anytime they move around, it is having a gun magic. Anytime they move around in a public place, opening, carrying their totem firearm, they get a minor charge. They're having a gun mage. Oh, I'm sorry. They never shoot. Is there taboo shooting? Must be visible. It can't be carrying in your backpack. Uh, Owned properly is considered public as long as visible from a road. Taboo is not carrying their gun. Carrying the weapon secretly for 10 hours or more outside their home. Designing a gun that's crucially important to human history. Or making your brand new totem gun. God damn. That's a whole fucking process. A gun mage doesn't shoot anybody? Lamau. One strain sees firearms fundamental tools for the enforcement of civilization loses their charges. They ever shoot a human being with a gun. Guns as the key means by which the invisible offsets encouragement ever reaching authority lose their charges if they're ever disarmed. The entire class of adept is a take that from the writer to one of the playtesters and feels mean spirited. It is, but it also fits. It's sorely disappointed that this was not encouraged. Look, if you want to be the firing John Woo-ish gunslinger, you don't need a school of magic, but tons of points in gunslinger. Magic unknown are people who go against expectations. I'm gonna skip this. I have a gun to shoot people is the exact opposite of unexpected. Gun hunting, 83 million. Gun shoots people, 140 million. One would expect a 3-term search to be narrower. Alternative taboo embraced by paranoid loner types forbids them to leave their home or vehicle without a firearm. Count of Saint Germain. I don't know the count. I don't know. This feels like, ooh, edgy. Because now Human Eternal and Saint Germain is Old Mother Apocalypse. Okay. Steady hand, steady heart. There's a lot of spells that are just like, don't have the downside of failing a check. Actually, fire a bullet straight up in the air. When successfully cast, every animal within a radius of yours equal to cluster's fulmination identity. Panics and flees as tallest possible speed. Interesting. Practical marksman. Well, before it was the Mystic Hermaphrodite, and I believe the term hermaphrodite became... I'm gonna say this, and some of y'all are gonna look at me like, that doesn't make any sense, but those of you who are, like, embroiled in LGBTQ+, are gonna be like, no, yeah, that makes sense. The term hermaphrodite is, like, a half slur. Like, some people think the word queer is a slur, which is also, to an extent, a half slur, but that's more so baggage from a past relationship. But that's probably why they changed it, and they just made them they, them. Rebus? I don't know what that is. Is that also a slur? Or a half slur? Bulletproof is night. Mao's Garden. I'm currently immune to all firearm attack. Curse someone, always be hit when fired at. Transfer all my munitions in 20 areas into inert sand, minus your own. Yeah. I think that Fulminaturgy is the best example of why Unknown Army's magic system is cool. I think that a lot of the 2E ones were focused on shock value rather than, like, being a cool magical ability. Like, arguably, outside of the inspiration for Grimm, I think that Epideromancers are the worst possible one. Do something that would force a stress check based on your fear, noble, or rage passion, except you're too hard for that now. That is, if you have 4 hardened notches in isolation and are scared by being lonesome, you can get a minor charge for something that will provoke a rank 1 stress on that. Like being by yourself all day without seeing anyone you know. Testing the edges of your limits isn't enough, you need more. Do something that forces a stress check based on your passions and suck up the roll either by a hardened or failed mark hardcore. You want to be in my lap instead of in the chair? Hello, my child. I nearly forgot to give you your meds today. We'll do this real quick before I forget. Scruff time. Good mouth. I know you don't like your meds, but you gotta take them. Teysa is doing good. Teysa is a boy. I guess one of his testes looked like vagina at a glance when we originally sexed him, but he's chilling. He's a good boy. He is not in the cone of shame. He is with his mom. He's doing well, though. Gibby, yes. Be involved in having someone else take a stress check based on their fear, noble, or rage passion. Now I use magic to make the other person test their limits. Persuasion works fine, so is throwing a snake on someone who's deathly afraid of them. The Motu may answer has to push against who she believes herself to be at the core and judge himself weak. Do something that forces a stress check on all 3 of your passions at once and has to fail. Any activity that involves building lasting structure or order. Helping out with Habitat for Humanity, working at school, or obeying police officer is back, all rob a mutual mancer of all of his charges. Breaking down systems, stirring up trouble. Good boy. People with power their own oppression because they are too weak to resist or hoping to get some for your all fair game. This is just politics. Hi. You want to sit in my lap? Create an entire group or system from nothing, whole cloth, only have people automatically drift to fill in and support that system. Sociomancy. Groupies, otaku, fanboys, fangirls. I'm guessing that if the person that you air quotes worship graduates or something, then it counts as a removal. I'm guessing this is like the VTuber lover. Immerse yourself in society for a couple hours is worth in your society. Marathon of Lost on DVD, going canvassing for the GOP, tailgating your favorite sports team. It's fanaticism but quiet. True sociomancer must blend in with those around you. Attending a convention for your society is good for lots of minor charges as leading some kind of group effort. Having sex with someone from your subculture is worth a minor charge too. So our purchase is geared towards membership. Acquiring unique or historical artifacts can yield significant charges. Alter your life to fit within your subculture. Once you have made a significant adjustment, is good for 3 significant charges, won't work again. You get a significant charge by watching a game on TV 3 times. Then you have to wear orange and blue all the time, even to office. After 3 days, the Bear's Guard gets you 3 charges. You're going to need to go to a game at Soldiers Field, Skybox, games on the road. Eventually pick fights with anyone. Pack your tower, trying to seduce the quarterbacks because those are the only abilities you have in mind, Hollow. The more you've taken from your society's egregore, hey, that's me! The harder it is to get charges. They use one egregore as much as possible to move on. Hey, that's like my exes! They're my latest ones. Subsuming yourself to the group. You are altering your personality, beginning to disappear. Resistance futile because you want to be assimilated. You have to harvest the organics you eat by hand. Just never be alone for more than 1 hour. Being alone is anathema. You must always wear some symbol of the subculture to which you belong. Just never go against the mores of your subculture. Progressive might also have to give to charity if Abilene was progressive past a donation box during the holidays. You can charge up off one culture at a time. So you can be in, like, you can soft be in a ton of different groups, so you have to only harvest from one at a time. Brother, can you spare a dime? Nothing to see here. Face on the crown, team takes one for me. I like this one. That's cute. What is there? Do they have a blast? Nothing to see here. Who's you? Why is Lucian sending me a metric ton of Faust porn? Are entry promoters still like that? They have not shown up, so they might not be here. Vestamanchi, tailors, fig leaves, empty suits. Okay. Create a new garment. Throwing a sheet around your soldiers, calling a toga is not a garment. So it's shirt, okay. Crochet a banana hammock. Take what is raw. So a lot of the schools of magic here seem to be less focused on the weird shit of the world and more focused on humanity as a whole, which is an interesting change. Has to all go together in a unique and stylish way that transcends grabbing the closet ensemble off the rack at Nordstrom. Suit must be tailored, resold clothes must be carefully sorted and checked and tried on, let out or taken in and made to match and blend with each other. In actual practice at the gaming table, I would simply amount to I would spend 3 to 4 hours shopping in the garment district, but if you're not willing to spend imaginative energy vividly describing unique get-ups for your character, Vestamanchi is a poor choice. This is literally like the one for people who love describing all the shit that their character wears. Design a new type of garment that gains wide recognition. Wetsuit, bikini, hoop skirt, camo pattern fatigues, or the first spacesuit. Be seen naked. Stark naked clearly costs all charges, even stripping down to one garment violates taboo. Glasses don't count, pair of socks or gloves is a single item of clothing. If you're photographed unclad, picture has power to break your taboo only the first time someone sees it. Can I help you, man? Help you, sir? Camo, Kevlar. What's the big stuff? Pick a haute couture design Like total retrograde amnesia on the next 20 people to wear their creations. Create a global craze for your handmade mittens, forcing the aftermarket's prices. Create a new color that everyone remembers as always existing. Oh, that red, white, and Greg sweater is really cute. You got changed from Obsession to Optimism in the universe, so I expect some changes. That's fair, I guess. Viaturgy. Car magic, okay. Drives 100 miles without casting a spell or taking a break. He yields a minor charge. Uh, anytime you sleep for a stretch of 6 hours or more in a building where they never have before, they get a charge. Seminal Car records a record-breaking, mind-bogglingly dangerous stunt, could also pick up a major charge. Car magic? Okay. Wait, what's the taboo? I skipped the taboo. Having someone else drive you. Being in a vehicle that someone else is driving burns all your stuff. Jesus built my hot rod. There's someone to become a car, unable to act on their own, but conscious as humans physically climb inside and force to go here and there. Create a self-conscious, self-directed, self-repairing magical vehicle like in the novel Christine. Okay, that's all of the schools of magic. Okay. I, hmm. I think there is a lot of uniqueness that was lost from the previous game. I think that they went from having very unique flavors of magic to having modernized it to a point where it is hard to see like this is the school, this is the adept style that I would want, you know? Yeah, there is agromancy, cameraturgy, cinemancy, fulminaturgy, motumancy, sociomancy, vestomancy, viaturgy, and the rest. Um, we also skipped through avatars because I was like, smooth out the rough edges, lost the watermark and serial numbers. Yeah, it definitely, like, there was an edge to a lot of the old ones, which makes sense. And I wouldn't say, like, all of these need to come back in different ways. I do think that the ones that we have left are very, like, I don't know, they don't stick to me as much. I guess because, also to be fair, for the second edition, a lot of what I was looking at was when I was in, like, high school when I was younger, so that makes sense why, like, it's been ingrained in me more. Um, at a glance, agromancy is definitely neat. It's about, like, killing animals and stuff, but it is very much a thing that you are not going to be able to do in a large amount of circumstances. Cameraturgy gave me the most ideas, but I think that's just because I recently watched a video of a guy who played Rust and was just taking pictures of people and being a fucking creep. Cinemancy, I don't like. It's focused on movie cliches and that sort of stuff. I think that would be very hard to get all the charges. Fulminaturgy is dumb. I'm not going to sit here and say that's cool or anything. It is the American one, but nerfed so that they don't have magical guns. Motumancy. What's Motumancy again? I don't even fucking remember what Motumancy is. Oh yeah, the people like fucking distress testers who like keep poking your buttons. Those fuckers, yeah. No wonder I didn't care for him. Sociomancy is neat. I think a lot of sociomancy is just depending on like how much you are into a thing. Vestomancy. the clothes make the man. It's not my vibe. I am sure that I could find a player that would be very into it. Viaturgy. God, it's... Come on. Like, Viaturgy and Agromancy are both on the opposite ends, but have the same problem of you need a certain good situation in order to capitalize on them. No bites. No bites. I didn't really look over the avatars because the idea of an avatar kind of ruins the concept of a thing for me. Run is mostly focused on GM stuff, pins on a corkboard, anatomy of it. Dude... They need careful, yes. Yes. The milk. What the fuck is the milk? The Immortal Secretaries. The milk. Oh, this is lore bullshit. Okay. Okay. That's mostly GM stuff. What is this? Reveal. Oh, this is like, the index book that has, like, all of the different, like, letters for stuff to help you, like, do stuff. What is expose focused on? This is, like, lore. Identities Redux. Mine is... Wait, is this like an extension book? What is this? Additional material for playtesters and game. Oh, it's just more stuff. Okay. So we have additional adepts and avatars. That first adept is not giving me lots of energy. Cryptomancy. Weasels, liars. Oh, it's like hackers. Okay. Learn a piece of private information that could cause tangible harm to someone if knowledge. Plutomancy and Poromancy. Let's go, Plutomancy! Uncover series painstaking work involving stakeouts. So they've basically gone from a more harm someone by releasing information about them. Okay. Which people are fused to smash that. It's fucking good, man. Discover and publicize a secret that shakes the nation. Telling someone a truth that they did not know. Long way from having to lie all the time. Cryptomancer can reveal any fact which those hearing it or easily suggest be true. Weasel walking around with a name tag clearing, "Hi, my name is Robin," can freely answer their name in public. It's safe to note that the sun is shining or when late to appointment to honestly say that the traffic was bad, if the information isn't at least already a plausible possibility in the minds of all hearers. Okay, so hard taboo to, or easy, weird taboo. Got it. Remove someone from history, change a fact about yourself. Trash magic. Hi. What are we doing? Gathering garbage at a public place for every 2 hours the pack rat spends in a public collecting trash from the sidewalks in a park along a riverbank, they get 1 minor charge. They can't be too picky. Once garbage is close enough to be collectible without taking a step, they have to gather it. Choosing one item from a bin or out of their receptacle is sufficient or is permissible. Manage to gather at least 10 pieces garbage in the 2-hour time period, no charge is generated. One is highly unpredictable, relies on randomly finding piece of trash so valuable that someone strongly regrets losing it the wrong way. Specifically, this means the object has sentimental practical value to someone. Reliable but risky. Illegally search through trash that is actively guarded from public access. Find something of major historical or vast financial value while attempting to do it. May not voluntarily own any single item worth 100 or more for 24 hours in total. Stealing counts as taking ownership, as is borrowing something more than 3 days. Failing to observe this voids all charges till the item is thrown away or if borrowed, returned. Renting or hiring someone that is value greater than 100 permitted as long as the rent is at the lower end of the going rate, as paid as agreed. Items that were recovered during charge generation are always safe, even if valuable trash is still trash. Voluntary ownership of value item or resource for more than 24 hours does not do it, as long as the garbo managers are generally trying to rid of it themselves, so that I'm aware of it. Willfully damaging or getting rid of any piece of garbage owned breaks taboo. Yes, even use matches. Spending money is safe as long as being compelled to get rid of something loose hairs, fingernails generated by the body do not count as trash, so a man with 50 mason jars of his own pee has something else going on. Engaging with the forgotten, discarded, neglected, and unwanting and wriggling utility from them. Okay. What are major charges doing then? An entire city block immediately crumble to rubble. Gain lifelong powers to be unnoticed by custom officials and border guards. Anthropomancy back, baby! Let's go gambling! I'll never stop winning! Let's go! Sir, why are your nails still so sharp? Let's go! Gambling! I can't stop winning! Risk something you feel if you lose, money you need, injury that hurts for a while, humiliation you can't shrug off. It's always your choice. Significant risk, bigger. How does this compare to TUI? Just a significant amount of money margin. Okay, so it just is giving more definition to it. Serious injury or death need to be on the table. 10 people. Okay, that's the exact same. I know that. All about coincidence. I win. Dramatically change your history. Be the only one to have the winning numbers to today's Powerball. Avoid the ambush that killed your friends last week. Make it so that your dad hadn't had that affair that drove your mom away. You can never undo an event you did to gain charges. The event you want to change, you'd have to be such a different person that you wouldn't be an Entermancer at all now. It's off limits. Dame Fortune has her hooks in you forever. Nothing's going to change that. Epideromancy back, baby! Let's go! Stab yourself. Stab yourself. They changed major charge from deal a fuck ton of damage to yourself to, just permanently cripple yourself, which is fire. Fleshworker is such a good class name. There's also trauma cases. I think in the previous one... Yeah, they also called them Skinners, but... Hi. Why are we licking ourselves? A lump hammer to the forehead, running head down at a wall. Dice are matched, that's another 3 damage. Although Skinners are one of the very few schools to have trivially easy access to a major charge, it is not a step to take lightly. Castration is not an acute enough disability to generate a major charge. Yeah. Neither the wounds nor the handicap involved can ever be healed naturally or magically. And letting someone else do it. Does it still have uh, body like a still pond? Let's go! This is a spell Grim has all the fucking time. It literally makes her immune to slashing and piercing. It's great. Uh... no concentration needed. Body like iron basically makes them more tanky. So the strat is basically you keep stabbing yourself for significant charges. Use body like iron to buff it. Chameleon Witherling. That's a cool draw. Okay. After Epideromancy, clean magic. Thoroughly clean yourself or a room you're in. This is much more than taking a shower, pony. You must make things sanitary. Maximum of 250. Everyone starts with 50. $250. Yeah, Epideromancers are like one of the scariest motherfuckers to fight. Longer. Must take 1 hour. You only need 20 minutes to clean yourself that well. You obviously missed something. Bathing every square inch. Shampooing, exfoliating, trimming hair, cutting nails, brushing, flossing, tongue scraping, removing earwax, and more for a room. Steam cleaning, sweeping and mopping. Washing windows, no streaks. Carefully removing all trash and disinfecting anything that you might touch, light switches, doorknobs. All cleaning done for by a spell cannot be used to generate charges. You are not allowed to hurt me. Well, you have to consent to someone injuring or modifying your body. If someone stabs you, that doesn't do shit. If someone hits you with a hammer, doesn't do shit. If you get a haircut, that counts. If a trauma case permits any other character to alter themselves physically, all their charges are lost. Going to see a doctor or dentist right down to getting a manicure or haircut, involuntary actions do not break. Safe to be wounded in combat. Safe, or to be surprised, by a friend sneakily chopping off a lock of hair. Flesh workers who are the recipients of life-saving emergency surgery or treatment won't break their taboo so long as they strenuously resist the attempt. Not worth it. Catharomancy. Cleanliness is a way of staying in control, cleaning up something that hits you with a stress check to interact with. If an epidemic... No. It's not hurt, Rain. You are missing a very important word. It is modify. You can get stabbed, you can do a lot of stuff. But there's a lot more you can't do. Base tanking, though? Yeah. Yeah, I mean, Epideromancers are literally just, like, very scary. Turning any home into a clean room. We're talking positive air pressure, disinfecting anything, using UV lights to find any invisible stains to remove. No carpets. Taking actually thoroughly purge environment or location of all contaminants, pollutants, filth, and microbes in a manner that which consumes personal resources put you at some risk of becoming a pariah amongst your community or social circles about it. They must remain in place for at least 24 hours to generate a charge. You can't gain more than a single charge from a given location or environment per month. Give it time to get dirty again. You can generate a major charge by adding something significant to the war on contamination. Inventing a new and better formula for an antibacterial cleaner would work. Passing a law mandating HEPA filters in all homes and businesses. You cannot willingly get dirty. Only wearing clean clothes, not holding plants or animals, wearing gloves, and so on. This only applies to willful acts that obviously contaminate you. Getting knocked into a mud puddle does nothing. You can go to dirty locations, because setting yourself up for failure is not the same as failing. Just bring along some wipes. Never ever handle cash or coins. Those are just disgusting. So you gotta be fully online. Okay. What are we doing? What's their blast? I fear what I fear. There's not as many blasts as before. Eradicate a specific disease in one part of the world, completely clean up a polluted lake, sterilize everything around you for 3 square miles as a one-time effect. Trace pollution or contamination straight to its source no matter where it is. Interesting. I wonder if that also works for metaphorical contamination. Ludomancy. Same as before. They increased the threshold to 2,000 of 1,000, so that's good. Seems about the same as before. They'll take the money like they're being compelled to do that thing. I feel like this should say 1 million or more, not less. That's probably a typo. Pornomancy's back. We're not going to talk about pornomancy. Urbanomancy's back. That's nice. So it just reintroduces a lot of old ones. Okay. Does it bring avatars back? Demagogue, Disciple, Healer, Malter. Yeah, most of them. Okay. Alright. So, with the addition of all of those, I do think that with the new ones that they added there, Detridomancy, Cryptomancy, Catharomancy, yeah. With those 3 new additions, I think that they have definitely added a lot more interesting schools of magic, not even counting the schools of magic that I liked from the first one, which is, funnily enough, most of the ones that they put in here. I do think there is a large amount of, headache isn't the term. There was a large amount of, like, very situational schools of magic. Oh, I do want to check something about Deratomancy. Sanitization. Yeah, that's the cleaning one. Like, that's their main focus. What is the midden? Collection of crude trash. Okay, so the midden's just pile trash. Yeah. I do think, like, a lot of those have more interesting aspects as opposed to the ones in the first one. I'm the trash man. Yeah. Um, I think the biggest headaches, if there are any, is probably just, like, getting people to be interested in it. Uh, Free character sheet. There's probably a character sheet online. I love a link. There we are. Pretty standard stuff. Is this like an all-in-one thing? Yeah, it's an all-in-one. I do like that that instead of having to give different skills and the like, it just kind of simplifies it. So to reiterate from before, one of the original problems that people were talking about was that it modifies your stats. It is not as bad as I thought it was going to be. It is literally just like a sliding scale of the more fucked up you are in a scenario, the uh, easier it is to do the things that you would not be ready to do in a day-to-day basis. So, like, probably the weakest one is knowledge and lie here. Um, uh, so, like, it is easier to, like, have a good status if you are, not isolated. If you are very isolated, it is much easier to chase people down. The idea of identities that basically say, like, this is your job, this is how it makes it easier to do certain things, a lot fucking nicer than how it was in the first game where you had to make your own skills. Um, Overall, I do think it's a very good upgrade. I do think that there are some aspects that still need to be talked about in regards to, like, expectations of the players and that sort of stuff. Not to say that it's bad in any way. I do think that this is one of those games that I would like to run a one-shot for. I cannot imagine how a full campaign would work. Had a little bit of difficulty figuring out where all the numbers went, but I guess that's fine. But yeah, the buy-in. Yeah, the buy-in's probably the hardest part. It does sort of feel like, why are we playing this as opposed to, any of the White Wolf games? I guess just because you're not trying to kill a fucking monster or something. How goes the setting up? Huh? The setting up for this game, or... let me see. Game you're talking about right now? Well, we're almost done. The setup for it it's pretty simple, nothing super crazy. Most of the problems therein are more focused on... Come on. Setup for it is... It has... It's not like a flaw, but it requires both the DM and the players to work together. I can't imagine it would take more than 30 minutes. Most of the setup regarding it is just figuring out how to make your character, which isn't too bad. Step one, basic fill out things. Concept is like a one-sentence explanation of how you want your character to function as. These are the different aspects that you can, like, flip your roles for, all this sort of fun stuff. For the... one of the cool things is identities. You can select different identities that can modify how your character plays and what roles you are good on no matter what. As you get more callous, the scale changes. For... They reduced a lot of the numbers of how much you have to, like, move this and that to different scores, all that sort of fun stuff. Uh, Pretty simple overall. Uh, all in all, I would like to do a one-shot or a three-shot type thing. I am curious if there are any one-shots of this. I know that there's a one-shot at the back of the Unknown Armies book for second edition. But let us see who all is alive today. Apologies that we are ending as you walk in, but it is a different time for this stream after all and everything. None of my people are on. So does anyone have recommendations on who we raid into? Do no one is live there, no one is live here, none from Fox. Chahat knew me. Chahat knew me. Satisfactory, 5 people. Tell him to stream Thon. Message sent. So echoes. Let me. Can I forward these? I'm sure I've DM'd you before. Alright. As so you are at the top of my thing. What was our last thing that we talked about? Fucking Yuna. Wild. Yes, that is Echoes. Let me see if I can forward this to you, Echoes. Cool. I forward you all the books. Those are my notifs, so... we will do Chakat Numi. Do. Hopefully that worked. But as always, thank you all for watching. Thank you all for coming here. We're going to be trying to do this every Friday, and if not every Friday, as often as I fucking can, basically. For next week, we don't have anything planned. I wanted to do this for this week, just to get it out of the way. Once again, thanks to Fox for sending me the PDFs of this. If anyone has games that they consider to be really enjoyed, make sure to toss them at me either in my server or wherever. Mwah, good girl. As for other games, there are a handful in the games to do there. If a new person suggests a game, they are probably getting priority. And that's about it. Don't have much else. Thank you all for being here for this earlier stream. I am going to be posting this to YouTube ASAP, probably unmodified or cutting out like a little bit at the beginning. But thank you all for indulging me yet again. But for now, I hope you all have a wonderful day. I hope tomorrow treats you twice as good as today does. And most importantly, I'm gonna be streaming tomorrow and Sunday to get the last 10 hours of the timer done. That way, I can go into work without having to think about that.